Hello, welcome back to Foos Entertainment. From a review of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade on 4K Blu-ray. This was actually the only Indiana Jones film as a child that I actually had on video. That I got from my father. I never owned an Indiana Jones film on my own until much later in life. People love this one. People really, really love this one. I am not like regular people. After rewatching this movie, though, I have to say I definitely enjoyed this movie. This movie's a good movie. I don't hate it. I don't have the biggest problems with this movie in terms of it being a movie. It's a great film. But this is where it gets a little bit different. Well, let's go into a plot before I can go ahead and continue the opinion. The film takes place in 1938. The film takes place in 1938, so a few years after Raiders. Indiana Jones receives a mysterious package from Italy, in which he finds out that it's his dad's diary he made from findings that he have been obsessed with for his entire life on a search for the resting place for the Holy Grail. Is in the cup of chalice. And then he gets approached by a aristocrat that wants to recruit him to go to Venice, Italy, to track down the second of two markers. First marker he gets introduced to from this aristocrat who has this Grail tablet that has half of the location of the Grail, or at least a good place to start. And then he goes to Venice, Italy to find the second marker, which is actually on a knight shield on one of the Knights of the Round House table. Basically, he was buried under an old church. After he acquires all the information, he discovers that his father, well, technically, actually, he did discover that his father was kidnapped a lot earlier than that, but he goes to rescue his father, who was played by Sean Connery, from the Nazis. You again want to possess another religious artifact so they can find a way to control the world and bring on a new world order. Same old story. Rescues his father, and they go on a race against the Nazis to uncover the Holy Grail and stop the Nazis from getting their hands on it. Which leads obviously to the climax of the movie. And like I said, I'm doing a quick plot synopsis and not going into all amounts of details. The climax of the film hitches up with the Nazis and the aristocrat who he thought was his friend but isn't, and actually is one of the Nazis himself. He has to go ahead and go through booby traps set by God, basically, to go ahead and get the Grail, because if he doesn't, his father's going to die from the results of being shot in the chest. And basically, how that works is, according to myth, the cup of chalice, while you are actually in this tomb, or the resting place for where the grill resides, you are immortal. You drink from it, you are literally immortal as long as you stay in that area. So he needs to get to the cup so he can save his father and stop his father from dying from a gunshot. And eventually, his film's also in a lot of ways about a not so great father in Rosalia's son. They actually form a bond throughout the movie. It kind of leads into the final act of the film, to where Indiana Jones wants to get the cup of chalice for his dad, and get the Holy Grail for his dad, and his dad's like, let it go. I don't care. I don't care about you. And I thought that was kind of cool. So this film has heart in it. That's not the problem with this movie. So let's go to the problem of the film real quick. The problems I have with this movie is sort of the same type of problems that I have with another franchise, which is the James Bond movies, in which you have the 1981 movie For Your Eyes Only, to where you have a bunch of gags all over the place that don't need to be there. They're just there for giggles and laughs. That's the problem with this one. That's why it's my least favorite one. Yes, go ahead and shoot me. Yes, I like King with the Crystal Skull over this one. Yeah, shoot me. Go ahead and do it. Get done with it. Put me out of my misery. I mean, there's something wrong inside of here. I prefer King with the Crystal Skull to this. The gags they're too much for me. When you go into the Indiana Jones film, you're not going into Indiana Jones film to have funny gags and comic relief throughout the movie. You're going in there to get horrified, to get terrorized, to get to go on an adventure full of horrifying imagery, full of terrorizing things, full of mischief. That's what you're going for. You're not going for these little comedy gags. And there's too many of them in this movie. Alright. Quality. Film was shot in 2.35.1 and contains this 2.35.1 aspect ratio. It has a new Dolby Atmos sound presentation. It has a brand new Dolby Vision 4K digital intermediate. It's revised from Steven Spielberg and company. This one is way better than Raiders and Temple of Doom in terms of the Dolby Atmos in the 4K usage with HDR10 and Dolby Vision. You can tell by watching the movie. It's the cleanest one of the first three films. Lot more colors in this one. Black levels are very, very good. Detail is definitely awesome. So yes, right here I have Dolby Vision, which is what this is intended to be watched on, is Dolby Vision. Or you have HDR10. You're going to have a great time with the 4K resolution. The Dolby Atmos. Major difference between the Last Crusade to Raiders of the Lost Ark and Temple of Doom. And I can tell you, I think I know why. Raiders of the Lost Ark and Temple of Doom were literally Dolby stereo. And stereo surround versus Dolby surround are actually different. So I'll explain that very, very easily. Stereo surround is stereo of two enabled channels that can be manipulated into having a playback on multiple speakers. Dolby Surround is 4 encoded channels of mono, actually 2 channels of mono with 2 channels of stereo. The front being stereo, the center being mono, and having 1 mono channel for the surround speakers. That's Dolby Surround. And so if you take this movie, which was in Dolby Surround, in 1989, the film will probably translate better to Dolby Atmos and have a lot more going on overhead. And that's certainly the case with this. So it makes sense. That would be superior in every way, sound-wise, to the first 2 films. Because it was intended for Dolby Surround Pro Logic technology back in '89. So that translation from taking that and remixing it into Dolby Atmos makes sense. Alright, now let's go ahead and get the final stuff out of the way. For YouTube, please. This movie has some elaborate stuff in it as well. That's definitely not appropriate for children. And here's the elaborate stuff that it has in it. Blood spatter. Shooting into somebody's head and seeing the blood kind of come out. And one that's very horrific. At a point in the film, the aristocrat villain drinks from the wrong cup. And he ages insanely fast. And you get to see it. And hair grows all long. Skin firms up. Basically, ages to where he becomes dust and just falls to pieces. Not something you want your little children to watch. So I did not approve this review for children. And that's it for this. I will see you guys next time for next review.